You Should Have Left is a 2020 American psychological horror film written and directed by David Cope. The movie is about a former banker and his actress wife who go to Wales for a vacation to resolve differences. However, they realize that the house they rented has a dark past. The movie begins with a little girl named Ella who awakens from her nap in the dark room. She turns to peek outside when she hears a disturbance to see who it is. She then shuts the door in terror and runs back to her bed, where she encounters an elderly man who informs her that she will soon lose her ability to talk and breathe. She marvels at how he knows her name as he releases her breath. He does, however, inquire as to her fascination with hearing something very intriguing. When Ella awakens from her nap, she discovers that no one is in the room. However, the man then hoists her into the air and claims that it is going to be her father. Theo, her father, awakens from a nasty dream and visits Ella's room to see how she is doing. Later that day, he tries to visit his wife, an actress, on set but is turned away. He sees her doing a romance act while he waits to be given permission and looks irritated. Susanna, his wife, subsequently apologizes to him, blaming his delay on a miscommunication, and informs him that she has added him to the list of authorized people. Soon later, they make travel arrangements for a trip to Wales and show up at the residence where they would stay. They adore the house and think it's quite spacious. Susanna points out that the residence doesn't have an internet connection though. Ella notices an apparition on the wall while playing in her room at night. She attempts to speak with her father about the dark figure as he enters her room at that very moment. He does not, however, take her statements carefully, puts her to sleep, and then departs. At that point, the shadow reappears on the wall. Theo attempts to turn off a lamp downstairs, but no matter which switch he tries, it does not go out. Susanna is currently binge watching an online show on her laptop. Theo observes a door that he uses to enter a room. He then switches off the lamp and observes that a different door has opened. When he arrives, he discovers a bizarre photograph but disregards it and walks away. The lamp then comes back on after that. After leaving, he goes back to his room and tells Susanna that there is a big corridor downstairs, but she has fallen asleep. She suddenly wakes up in horror as he sits by her and acts like she has had a nightmare. Then he nods out as well, and time passes quickly on the watch. He gets up after having a strange dream in the morning. He notices a letter next to his bed that says Susanna and Ella went for a walk. Then he begins to write in his journal for relaxation. On the other hand, Ella asks Susanna in the woods about why people despise her father. She hesitantly reveals to her that people believed he was responsible for the death of his first wife who drowned in the tub. As he was a rich banker, his case attracted a lot of attention, and when it came to the hearing, he appeared on television and gained some notoriety even though he was found not guilty. The shopkeeper inquires if Theo plans to stay there when Theo later goes to town to buy supplies. He questions if he's met Stetler when he responds positively, and Theo assumes that he is the homeowner. The shopkeeper strangely hands Theo a drawing triangle while Theo is on his way out and instructs him to calculate the angles of the house. When a woman asks him how he located the residence outside the shop and he replies that he used the internet, she replies that Stetler saw him. Theo then learns that Ella has found out about him when he gets home. Later, he admits to Susanna that it was his tale and that he had planned out exactly what he would say to Ella at the appropriate moment. They then argue when each of them believes the other made the reservation, but they both later realize they didn't. The following evening, when Susanna is taking a bath, Theo reads the messages on her phone and laptop as he struggles with envy and suspicion toward her, yet he receives nothing from them. He offers an apology to her and acknowledges her validity when she finally exits. More effectively than he could have, she handled Ella. At night, he lies up to do some meditation since he cannot fall asleep in his bed. He experiences those bizarre visions once more, which startled him. Then he notices, "You should leave. Go now," in his journal, but when he turns around, his image in the mirror is still. When he unlocks the door after hearing anything else, he can see the stairs descending. A person is walking behind him in the corridor as he descends the stairs to an old residence. He continues for a short distance before coming across a standing person who is unresponsive to him. Later, he discovers Ella's toy on the floor and discovers that she is unconscious in an adjacent room. To wake her up, he brings her outside. He then attempts to wake himself up by telling himself he is dreaming, and when that doesn't work, he stabs himself in the eye with a bottle, jolting him out of sleep. He returns to the same space later with Susanna, telling her there was a door just behind the bookshelf. After that, they proceed to the washing room, where he exhibits the image and claims it was in his dream. She responds that he saw the picture before putting everything in her dream. She replies that she does not recall him getting up and leaving the bedroom when he asks if she does. After that, When they are outside, he asks her whether she is comfortable in this residence, to which she responds negatively. The next morning, when he observes Susanna and Ella having fun outside, he puts her to the test. He notices Susanna looking at her phone at the same moment he hears a text vibrate on his kitchen table and discovers a cell phone with his text displayed on the screen. He believes she has been cheating on him after learning that she has a hidden phone. He goes back to his journal and discovers that something has been added. "You ought to have departed. It's too late now." She confesses to having an affair with another actor named Max when he approaches her outside and hands her his other phone. If he's been here before, he asks her. She identifies him as being from New York. He begs her to go for the evening after a disagreement between them both. Ella later confides in her father that she dislikes living here, that she has strange nightmares, and that she frequently feels down. He assures her that they will return home as soon as her mother returns with the automobile. He then turns his focus to the water on the floor and uses the drawing triangle the shopkeeper had provided to measure the angle between the wall and the floor. He uses a meeting stick to measure the kitchen, and when he measures outside, he discovers that the interior is 5 feet larger than the exterior. Ella reports feeling cold, so he tells her to go put on a coat. When she enters the house by one door, he observes her inside but she does not exit through the other. In his search for her, he discovers her coat, leading him to believe that she has been playing hide and seek with him. But even after a protracted search, he becomes concerned when he cannot locate her. On the other side, Ella is also trying to find her father. Theo is somewhat astonished when he walks back into the kitchen through a door. They both seem to be having different dream images that are apart from one another. The third door is then located once more, and when he enters, it closes on its own. Ella, on the other hand, notices a woman sprawled out in the bathtub. When she approaches her, she advances quickly. Ella then runs into someone, and Theo overhears her scream. His daughter is crying out for assistance. He enters the house again after breaking down a door and discovers Ella sobbing on the stairs. When they are reconnected, he contacts Susanna and asks her to come back and pick him and Ella up and leave the house, but she has switched off her phone. He then calls the shop owner to see if he knows of any taxi services around. There is a picture on the wall and the shopkeeper responds that there aren't any. The shopkeeper then uses obscure language to describe the house, claiming that the devil uses it to gather spirits. Theo notices 2 more portraits on the wall as he is told that people have always resided in that house, some never leaving. After that, the store owner cuts off the conversation and someone says, "I'm always here." Theo and Ella choose to go to town to leave the house, but as they do so, they notice a shadowy figure watching them from within. After some time, they discover that they have returned to the house, which shocks them. Ella protests the idea of returning to that house, but Theo says that there is no other choice because they would not be able to leave this place otherwise. Theo later detects murmuring while they are asleep, and when he goes to the toilet, the door closes on its own. He returns to his dream world and finds a bathtub filled to the brim with water. Suddenly, Caroline, his first wife, assaults him, terrifying him greatly, but it is only a vision. He flees from there and arrives in a chamber where he has a glimpse of himself. Then he imagines himself going from there and notes in his journal that you should leave. Then he sees his and Susanna's earlier selves arriving at the house for the first time. He then runs into Stettler and inquires about Ella. He starts seeking Ella as soon as he recognizes her voice, and then her image emerges on the wall. Theo begs him to let her go and attempts to resist him, but Stettler asserts that the children bear the consequences of the father's actions. He then assumes Theo's shape to mock him and threatens to return Ella if Theo fulfills his obligations. Theo exhales in relief as Ella is then given back. Susanna comes home the following day, and Theo presents her with Ella. She inquires about his plans to accompany them. He asserts that he won't ever let him go. He finally acknowledges the actual details of his first wife's passing. When she was drowning in water, he claims he did not murder her but did not save her. He had been unhappy with her for so long that he was just observing her die. He acknowledges his place in the home. Then Thoe's ghost is seen imprisoned inside the home, suggesting that he had been the man watching himself. There, the film finishes. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe so you can stay updated with our daily movie recaps.